Thank you for your honesty. Your evidence is you have a presupposition, and your presupposition is pantheism. You are part of God, and that's the way you think, therefore that's the way God thinks. But you've got a major self-contradictory problem, which is I'm obviously part of God also, according to your worldview, and I'm standing here contradicting you.
And I forgive you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what gives you the confidence that you are the true God and that I'm a false God?
Claiming myself to be true.
Yes, you are when you judge me and tell me that my view of reality is incorrect and your view of reality is correct. You're obviously claiming to be a more accurate representation of God than I am.
If I may stop you and correct you, there is no judgmentalism involved here.
Yes, there is. When you say to me you offer to forgive me, what that clearly says is, Cliff, you've done wrong. But I will be gracious and I will forgive you for the wrong that you've done. No, that's not the way I perceive it. That's the clear concept of forgiveness. You don't forgive someone for giving you a drink. You don't forgive someone for loving you. You don't forgive someone for helping you prepare for an exam. You forgive someone for the wrong that they have done to you. And instead of seeking revenge, you forgive them. Now, when you stand there and say, you're part of God and I'm part of God, and then I say, yeah, but we contradict each other, and you say, well, I forgive you, that's a clear statement. Cliff, you've done something wrong, or you've said something wrong, or thought something wrong.
Okay.
Clearly.
Point well taken.
Thank you. You see, what you're butting up against, you're butting up against the law of non-contradiction. You're trying to live as if, in this world, everything can be right. It can't, sir. When you walk across a street and a bus is coming, it's not you and the bus at the same time in the same place. It is either you or the bus. And if I stand here and say, black is white and white is black, no, that's irrational. I am taking a leap into fantasy land. There's a law of non-contradiction, and when you get into Eastern thought with the idea of, no, it's not either or, it's both and everything is equally valid, you begin smacking up against the law of non-contradiction, you begin to fall apart rationally. What do you mean we're all part of God? What does that mean? I come up to this guy and kick him in the jaw. What just happened? Part of God just kicked part of God? What does that mean? You see, it just doesn't work. It doesn't fly.
If you were to come up and kick me or anyone else,
Right.
you would be receiving the negative repercussions of that action. Am I not correct? For instance, this person or myself, if our egos would let us, or if we allowed our egos, let me reverse that, allowed our egos to say, hey, you SOB, and decided to take retaliatory action, would you not be receiving the negative ripples in which you created to begin with? It would be like kicking God and having God punish you, as you had earlier exclaimed.
Well, you said God doesn't punish, remember?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying what you had earlier mentioned about God punishing. So
Yeah.
your punishment would come through this other human being retaliating against your action.
Right, you see, the reason I'm convinced that kicking him is wrong is because I'm convinced he's not God and I'm convinced I'm not God. I am convinced that God is a separate being who made him with dignity and who made my foot for a purpose. And God gave me my foot not to kick him in the jaw, and God gave him a dignity that I totally violate if I do kick him in the jaw. And if I live a life of kicking guys in the jaw, I'm going to have to answer to God for that one day.
You look like Geraldo Rivera.
What's your point?
He was here once too.
What's your point?
He was here once also.
What does that have to do with the line of thinking we were just pursuing?
It was a humorous enlightenment.
Objection. You know, you need some humor in your life.
I agree. Well, I think I've had enough to say. And Cliff,
Thank you, Ricky.
It was a pleasure to have made your acquaintance.
Pleasure's mine.
God loves.
God loves. How do we know that? Do you find that out by reading the morning newspaper? Do you find that out by reading the history books? No. There's far too much suffering. There's far too much evil for you and me left on our own to conclude, oh yeah, God loves. There are too many babies dying. There's too much genocide. There's too much racism, sexism, chauvinism. There's too much suffering in this world for me to kick back and say, oh man, God loves. There's only one way that I know that God loves you. There's only one way that I know that God loves me. And that's because God has specifically revealed that through Jesus Christ. You take Jesus out of the picture, and you're up a creek without a paddle when it comes to explaining why you believe God loves you.
If God is an all-forgiving God, then why wouldn't He forgive you, like, if you want to believe in Him?
Okay, great question.